Well, when you get nice soil like this, you don't need anything special. You just, gather it around the seeds and pat it down really good. This is a very important stage of direct seeding. Patting it down. Don't worry, it's not too tight. Not when you've got good soil. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I'm doing a bit of an experiment today. I got a garden bed here. This is where I had my, what were here? Carrots. This was a carrot garden in 2020. And I left the dome on it all winter, and I left the carrots in the ground all winter. And whenever I wanted, and for the most part, the dome kept the ground from freezing. There was some, in the dead of winter, there were some days where the soil was frozen down an inch or two, but I could always get at the carrots, and at the worst I could chip them out using a little sort of wooden chisel type deal, digging stick. And I've got videos, you can go back and watch me pulling carrots out of the ground in February with snow everywhere. And it's kind of uplifting to have something to pull out of the garden in the middle of winter. But anyway, the soil here is probably, I haven't popped it up yet today, but I'm going to guess the soil's thawed because it never really froze like the other beds. Most of the other beds in the garden are still a bit frozen. It's March 31st, or March 21st, the day after spring equinox. Anyway, I'm planning to put beans in here this year. Okay, I rotate my crops and I have a sort of system I use. And every year I plan out my garden, and all I've done here is just, printed out a picture of my garden plan for 2021. Not a very sophisticated affair, but when you start getting a large garden like this, 2,500 square feet, you have a busy lifestyle, it's worth your while to take an hour or two in the dead of winter to figure out what you're gonna plant and where it should go. It just makes things easier when you get to this time of year. I didn't really have to do much thinking. I've got all my seeds ordered. They're all inside the house. And, I know this is thawed, so it's time to come and plant something. This is going to be a bean garden this year. But I won't be able to put beans in here till, end of May or something like that. So I thought, why not put some spinach in here. And I'm also going to put some lettuce in here, I thought. No, not lettuce. Dandelion greens. I guess a kind of variety of dandelion. I've never planted dandelions before. But I figure they're one of the first things that start growing on my lawn. They grow before the grass grows, and they're sort of related to lettuce. And lettuce is a tough, really cold hardy plant, so I figured these dandelion greens will be tough and cold hardy too. I mean, there's only one way to find out, right? So let's get at her here. Alright, I'm just going to make 2 rows down here. Relatively close to the middle, not too close to the edge. The closer you get to this wood, the colder things get. There's really no point. I'll just make a row there. Not too deep. I'll make a row about here. I'm not going to bother putting one down the middle, because when I plant beans, I'm going to plant pole beans down the middle and bush beans on the sides. At least I think that's what my plan is. So I don't want to mess that plan up. When I actually plant some sort of weed growing here. Look, weeds happen. Always amazed at gardeners being bent into shape over weeds. Pull them. All right, so yeah, when I plant my beans, so I got a row of, whatever this is going to be, spinach. When I plant my bush beans, they'll be on either side of this row. And down the center, I'll have the pole beans. That's the idea anyway. Climbing beans. All right, now let's get our seeds in the ground. So the variety of dandelion, which I've never planted before, is this Italian dandelion punto. So early in spring, when dandelions are really the only greens, the only game in town, I will go around my property and pick young dandelion greens and use them in my cooking. I've done that for years. People say they taste good in salads and stuff like that. I don't like them in salads at all. I find they taste awful in salads. But I do like young dandelion greens as a cooked dish, in with other greens, or in a pasta sauce, that sort of thing. Boy, there's not a lot in this pack. I gotta be hopeful this doesn't blow away. This is a one-shot deal here. So let's see. Gotta be judicious with these. You can see the wind. I probably have just enough for one row. These are tiny. See if I can show you these without them blowing away. Tiny, tiny, tiny seeds. And we'll see how these do and how they taste. I'm really curious to see. I love doing experiments in the garden and learning new things. I don't think you can ever get bored. I remember connecting with an old friend on LinkedIn, and he had found me because he'd noticed I'd been doing this gardening YouTube thing. And he said, "Don't you get bored doing the same thing year after year?" And I said, what the hell are you talking about? I've never done the same thing year after year. That's the strangest statement I've ever heard. Well, when you got nice soil like this, you don't need anything special. You just, gather it around the seeds and pat it down really good. This is a very important stage of direct seeding. Patting it down. Don't worry, it's not too tight. Not when you've got good soil. What you're doing is you're ensuring that the seed has good contact with the soil so that it can get moisture from the water that's in the soil. And there's plenty of water in that soil. I'm not even going to bother watering that. I think that'll be fine. I think I'll put a little, some sort of marker, even this little stick, just so I know roughly what I've done here, just so I have some sense of where I planted this row. There's a little piece of stick there. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. All right, there's that one. And I love spinach in spring, so I'll put some spinach down here. This is called Responder, the variety. Responder. Pretty big seeds. So I plant these about 2 inches apart. You have to thin them down to being 4 inches apart, I would say. I don't know what the package says. Does it say? Thin to 1 to 3 inches apart in rows 12 inches apart. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing here. Basic idea. Planting one every inch or every 2 inches. Really depends on how miserly you want to be with your seeds. The thicker you plant them, of course, the better your chance of success, right? Maybe I'll put a few more up here, seeing as I got them to spare. Go a little bit more. Plenty more to spare. All right, I'll just firm those down. A really simple process. You just smoothing the soil over. That's it. I think this process here is one of the most overwhelming to a new gardener. Look at that. Caterpillar. Here, I'll put him out on the snow. Here, good luck. Good luck to you. I think you're going to be bird food within the hour. I'm sure there are beneficial caterpillars, but in the garden, there's a worm right there. In the garden, most caterpillars are a problem. All right, that's that. Let's put the dome back on. Instead of just having the garden be idle, doing nothing, why not, have some, have some spinach and stuff like that growing in there. There's no mulch in it right now, but for those of you that are, oh my goodness, how can your soil be bare? I will be mulching it. I just have to get some. I'm kind of out. This time of year, people, I'm sure after a nice day like today, someone on my drive into work has raked up something on their lawn and they've put something at the end of their driveway, and I will scavenge that during the week. Worst comes to worst, if no one has done that by the weekend, I'll go down to the seashore and get some seaweed and use that. So anyway, yeah, if you got a bed that you can't plant until the last possible frost date, and where I live, even though the calendar says it's like end of April, but living here in this place, right where I am here, almost every year we get a late frosted May. June, it's not until June that the risk of frost goes almost down to zero. And we've even gotten frost in June here. So it's a kind of a crazy place. So if you're going to be planting direct seeding beans into the ground, unless you're planting the beans under some sort of protective covering like this, you really can't plant them till the end of May, early June. But it's like March right now, and this soil's thawed, so why not make something happen in here? And whatever state this is in, when I go to plant my beans, the beans will just, I'll either remove all that stuff or just let the beans grow around it. It'll all work out just fine. And of course, I do a garden tour every month, and I'm always making videos out here, so just keep watching. You'll see how this goes. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.